All right. Good morning, everybody. It is Monday or Tuesday. Sorry, Tuesday, not Monday. Tuesday, August 19th, 2025. Welcome. This is the Hat and Beard Show. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling a friend. That's what we love about you. First up on the docket, guys, our national NFL news media circuit. Kevin Stefanski says he needs a man that'll take the chance with a burn on a love long enough to last. He's going to go with old Joe Flacco winning the QB1 job. What is next for rookies Dylan Gabriel and the overinflated ego of Shedeur Sanders? On the note of Shedeur Sanders, we're going to double dip on the Brownies today. Newsweek's got an article for us. It's here. It says NFL Insider hints at Browns parting ways with Shedeur Sanders. What a short-lived tenure that was in Cleveland for Shedeur Sanders. That does tie into the poll question that we have up for you guys today. If Shedeur Sanders is cut by Cleveland, knowing that there is a bit of a quarterback 2 deficiency here in the Motor City, do the Detroit Lions and Brad Holmes, Motor City Dan Campbell, consider maybe making a move for Shedeur Sanders? Obviously, the Hendon Hooker situation hasn't worked out, though. One of the options, no. Do we get behind the 8 ball? Our guy Kyle Allen, who has been playing better in the preseason than he did in the Hall of Fame game, taking the steps forward and earning that second QB2 job currently as it sits. But do we toy around with the idea of bringing in Shedeur Sanders, or do you want no part of that circus? I'm not too wild about that circus, so go ahead and take a look at that poll there. Don't forget to engage with it. Also, now we're going to finally, after the national segment, guys, we're going to get to what we really want to talk about, and that is our Motor City Detroit Lions. And, of course, fan favorite here of the show, the Egyptian magician, Ahmed Hassanein. We've seen him go down in the preseason with what appeared to be some type of a neck, shoulder, or what we now know as a pectoral injury. Detroit Lions rookie Ahmed Hassanein offers encouraging injury update. This did just come out this morning, so this is fresh off the presses. We will then take a look to find out what really went down here from Lions Wire. Hassanein, quote, out for a while with pec injury. Could miss entire rookie season. Just wanted to go ahead and show you there. We'll talk about that, but there's the quote from Dan Campbell saying that is a pec, though might not require surgery. What does this mean for Ahmed Hassanein, and what should the Lions do at edge after the Ahmed Hassanein injury? Do the Lions need to make a move at defensive end after Ahmed Hassanein's injury, or do we like what we have in the tank with guys like Nate Lynn, with the flexibility of a Keith Cooper, and also the idea that Josh Paschal will be productive when he comes back? We'll discuss about that. We'll take a look at what Jeremy Reisman came out with us this morning at 7:30 in the morning at Pride of Detroit. And then finally, it's going to be kind of a topic of a discussion for the next week and a half now from SI.com, predicting 5 surprise cuts for Lions based on preseason performances. Guys, we're going to start having these awkward and uncomfortable conversations. Better get comfortable with being uncomfortable. There are guys who we like who aren't going to be here come the start of the regular season. And even then, if they are practice squad players, they might have shown enough on an elite franchise's preseason debuts and on tape to get scooped up by another team. So we'll kind of poke around with that. These are going to be some conversations that will be ongoing for the next week and a half. Good morning, everybody, though. Chat, how you doing? Looking strong. Already engaging with the poll. 4 of you have taken a vote of the 5 viewers. If Shedeur Sanders is cut by Cleveland, do the Lions make a move for him? 50% of you say no. We've got the 8 ball, Kyle Allen, and I like where your head's at with that. And then 50% of you are saying bring forth AOC's Tatas. I also enjoy where your head is at with that one. Guys, if you haven't already, do the things, because we kind of upset the algorithm yesterday's stream. The digital thumb on the scale did not approve of some of our takes on languages, as it would be. So I need you guys to do me a solid, and we really need to push this show out there. We need to ramp it up. We need to share this around with all your friends and family. Copy that link down on your clipboard below. We are at 6 99 at the time of recording this right now. So, 700 subscribers. Look, if we get 700, that'd be the cat's pajamas. If not, I think next week we just take next week and learn how to dual stream. We are going to be deciding. I'll put it up to the chat. We'll make it a end of the week poll. You guys got to decide. Do we go and start streaming on Twitch, or do we go and start streaming on the free speech alternative to YouTube? And that is Rumble.com. We already have a very small footprint established over there. So we'll probably be leaning that route, but let's see. Did you guys kind of put some input into that? But we will be looking to start dual streaming next week before the start of the regular season. So what I need you to do is share this video around, smash the like button, assault it, hit it with the 2-piece and the biscuit on your way over to subscribing to the channel. Ring that notification bell if you're new here so that you can be notified every time we go live. When do we go live? Well, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. And YouTube does the thinking for you. If you ring that notification bell, by golly, they will send you a push-button notification. All you got to do is click that bad boy on your phone. Yesterday's video was viewed by 77% of you on a mobile device. That is pretty awesome, and I understand that we are a dual-screen type watching, secondary viewing type channel, and I'm totally fine with that. Just go ahead and prop this up, leave it on the background, let us roll and let us ramble. Subscribe, ring the bell, like the video, share this around with all of your friends. Now that that's out of the way here, let's go ahead and get into the show.
If you can say the word good, guess what? It means you're still alive. It means you're still breathing. And if you're still breathing, well then hell, you still got some fight left in you. So get up, dust off, reload, recalibrate, re-engage, and go out on the attack.
All right, yeah, Sam Armstrong had a good question asking about Frank. Meaning Frank Ragnow played through a torn pec, didn't he? Yes, but I agree with you on the second take, and that is Frank is a tank. Frank Ragnow was not a normal human being. He was a Iron Man, dude. So that's, yeah, he did play through a torn pectoral, and I can't confirm or deny that Hassanein has a torn pectoral. We just know that it's a pectoral injury. We'll discuss that, though. Give it a couple stories here. We gotta tickle the footballs and rub the laces of the national news algorithm here. So over at NFL.com, ooh, there's our girl, Jamie Erdahl. Joe Flacco wins QB1 job. What's next for rookies? Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. The future starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns spent his time before Saturday's preseason game in street clothes, greeting old friends in Philadelphia. I do think I just want to go ahead and pat myself on the back. I think one of us in this room, in this microphone, screaming from Grandma Studio 1, said that Joe Flacco was going to be the starter come week 1. Boy, that was not that complicated. Do you pick the driver of the short bus, not the kids riding in the back? The QB in question might have been Kenny Pickett until about 3 weeks ago. There was a very good chance of that. The Browns had set up a quarterback competition, really 2 of them, and it was Pickett who was expected to challenge and perhaps prevail over Joe Flacco to become the player who will finally carry Cleveland into the post-Deshaun Cosby-Watson era. But then, like so much in this team's tortured quarterback history, things began to go wrong, and the Browns' best-laid plans for preseason battle fell apart. The Browns announced the obvious Monday that Flacco will be the starting quarterback when they open the season September 7th against the Cincinnati Bumbles. It wasn't that this was a poorly kept secret. It's that there was no other apparent choice. Flacco, 40 years old, is the only one of 4 quarterbacks who started camp who managed to get through it free of a freakish compilation of non-contact soft tissue injuries that befell the others. Flacco has practiced well in recent weeks as the Browns increase his reps, and it seems likely he'll get the start in the preseason finale Saturday against the Los Angeles Rams, which head coach Kevin Stefanski is treating as a dress rehearsal with game planning and all. That's a good way to get your guys hurt. Even if everyone had been healthy and a full-throated competition had been played out, Flacco might still have been the best option to open the season. The rookies, third-round pick Dylan Gabriel and fifth-rounder Shedeur Sanders, likely had no realistic path to winning the job in camp as long as Flacco was healthy. And Pickett does not have the experience and success with Stefanski and his offense that Flacco does. Last time Flacco played for the Browns 2 seasons ago, he guided the team to a playoff berth and was named Comeback Player of the Year. That title should go to Aiden Hutchinson this year. 5 of the first 6, and let's be real, can we please change it from Comeback Player of the Year to the Alex Smith Comeback Player of the Year award? 5 of the first 6 games on the Browns' schedule are against teams that were in the playoffs last season. And the first 2 games are against divisional rivals Cincinnati and Baltimore. It would be hard to fault Stefanski for going with experience, familiarity, and comfort level, at least initially. What do you want, Cat? What do you keep chasing in here, bro? My cats are wild, man. Pickett looked good early in camp, and the Browns clearly wanted this to be a real competition. It's irrelevant for now. Pickett injured his hamstring more than 3 weeks ago. What'd I tell you guys? A hamstring in camp is a doomed season. You might as well just pack it in, fellas. You might as well just pack it in if you got a bad hamstring in camp. What the fuck is this cat doing, yo? I think it's the pen. I think it's the clicking of the pen. Just as camp is really warming up, the hamstring didn't respond to how the Browns had hoped. And Pickett, who missed 3 full days of practice and the first 2 preseason games, has been unable to participate in 11-on-11 work since he returned to practice on August 1st. That's not good. That's a long time to be missing practices there, Hoss. Pickett, Gabriel, and Sanders were on the field throwing in the hours before the Browns played the Eagles on Saturday. And the fact that the focus was not so much on their passes, but on whether their bodies would hold up, tells you everything you need to know about the QB competition. A 40-year-old man should not be more resilient than these young 20-year-olds, especially 2 of them being rookies, and Shedeur Sanders playing relatively short passes, not taking an awful lot of hits. Gabriel made his preseason debut, although he is still not completely free of his own hamstring tightness. Sanders missed the 2nd preseason game with an oblique strain he suffered last week, ending any chance he could immediately build on his impressive debut. And Pickett is still waiting to get into a game, although Stefanski has held out hope that all 4 quarterbacks would be available on Saturday. And what a shit show that would be if you got 3 good hamstrings between 3 players. Well, I guess Shedeur Sanders has an oblique, not a hamstring, but 2 of the guys you're really hoping to see shine got bad hammies. That's not something you really want to be gambling with, especially this close to the start of the season when, unfortunately, your starting quarterback, and there's no slight against Joe Flacco. I'm a Joe Flacco fan, actually. When he's on the wrong side of 40 years old and the Cleveland Browns offensive line, not so great, and you're playing in a division that has 2 very aggressive defenses. You know what I'm saying? The Bengals, they got Trey Hendrickson. But damn, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens, they've got some pretty aggressive defenses. The greater suspense now is see what happens. Through camp, the unofficial depth chart listed the quarterbacks in order as Flacco, Pickett, Gabriel, and Sanders. How are they ordered once the games count? Gabriel received some first-team reps in Pickett's absence. Sanders has not. How much did their respective preseason performances impact them? What of Pickett, assuming he can get healthy? Stefanski made a point last week of saying the Browns are obsessed with player development. Does that mean they will indeed keep 4 quarterbacks on the roster? That's fucking nuts. At least for now. Is there a scenario where Pickett could eventually supplant Flacco, or is he more likely to be available in a trade? If the difficult schedule takes its toll, how motivated will the Browns be to change it to one of the backups? Still, and anticlimactic as the competition was, the Browns are in a better spot with quarterbacks now than they were last season. They have options. They have competence with Joe Flacco. They might have a future. Highly unlikely, but at least they have competence right now at the quarterback spot. But Joe Flacco, didn't play so great for the Colts last year. So is Joe Flacco going to be able to play where he was when he was comeback player of the year 2 years ago? Well, that has yet to be seen. And the Browns, a lot of question marks. Not necessarily the most keen or up to date on what the Browns are doing, but offense doesn't look like it's going to be the most potent in the NFL, at least at this standpoint. So, what does an NFL insider? What does the chat have to say? How you guys doing, chat? You guys are going bananas. That's what we like to see. Yeah, Sam, he did play through a fractured throat. Yeah, Frank the Tank, Frank Ragnow was an absolute animal. It was always going to be Flacco if they wanted any chance at all. Just wonder if they can keep him healthy all season. I have doubts about that. Brent DeWitt, my guy, 150%, dude. That's exactly where I'm at with it. Is you knew it was going to be Flacco from the jump. Like, there was no doubt about it that it had to be Joe Flacco as the starting quarterback. He gave you the best odds to win right out of the rip. Why risk it, biscuit, and ruin one of your developmental quarterbacks when you have a proven asset and you can slowly integrate your younger quarterbacks? Now, the next part of that statement is, can they keep him healthy all season? That's what I'm saying. The Browns have a trash can for an offensive line. Not so great. Not so great. So, you're eventually gonna probably have to see one of these younger guys, and it's probably gonna be Pickett. He does at least have NFL pedigree, and let's not kid ourselves. Kenny Pickett is a Super Bowl champion. I'd say it, but Flacco's pretty good for his age, Sam. Yeah, I don't hate to say it. I like Joe Flacco, but yeah, he's actually pretty good for being on the wrong side of 40. You know what I'm saying? Hammies are a damn curse, Brent. Exactly. There was talk of BB in next year's first rounder for Henderson per Woodward Sports. No shit. I don't want to get rid of Brian Branch, dude. I would never do that. Bro, would you guys really give up Brian Branch and a first rounder next year for Trey did you say Henderson or Hendrickson? I'm thinking you mean Hendrickson. Sam Armstrong. I think that's what you mean, buddy. Am I reading that right? Anyway, what do we got over here from Newsweek? NFL Insider hits at Browns parting ways with Shedeur Sanders. Yeah, Sanders looked good in his NFL debut with the Browns preseason opener. He was unable to play in the second preseason game due to an oblique injury, but the conversation has already started to grow after his debut performance. During that debut, the Carolina Panthers, Sanders completed 14 of 23 pass attempts for 138 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions, while also running for 19 yards on 4 attempts. He is involved in a 4-man quarterback competition. Deshaun Cosby Watson is also on the roster as a 5th quarterback, but he's not expected to play. Cleveland seems very unlikely to carry 5 quarterbacks on the roster. That would be 4 quarterbacks is nuts. 5 quarterbacks. Why? Why would you even entertain that idea? At least one player will be likely on his way out of town before the regular season starts. Isn't that true? Right now, the Bengals have Flacco, Pickett, Gabriel, and Sanders are fighting for the backup role. Gabriel happens to be the team's 3rd-round pick in the 2025 draft, and moving on from him seems unlikely. That could be the conversation coming down to Pickett and Sanders. NFL insider Pete Pescaro of CBS has hinted at Sanders possibly being the odd man out. He suggested that Cleveland could cut ties with the former Colorado star. If the Browns were to cut or trade Sanders, the NFL would be turned on its head. As of now, he's being talked about as the face of the future for Cleveland. That being said, the brutal reality is that the 5th-round pick and the Browns might simply view him as such. Many 5th-round or later quarterbacks don't make rosters. Sanders could very well be in jeopardy. Only time will tell, but the situation is worth monitoring closely. Sanders might very well make the roster and see playing time this season, but there's a chance he might not even make the team. So what do you guys think about that? That ties into our poll question. If Shedeur Sanders is cut by Cleveland, do the Detroit Lions make a move for him, knowing that we don't really have any strong long-term options at the backup QB spot? Yeah, Kyle Allen looks solid right now. That's one of the options. No, we've got the 8-ball Kyle Allen with 33%. 33% of you say can't hurt. He's better than Hendon Hooker. And 33% of you say bring forth AOC's tatas. There you go. I'm on board with that one for sure. What do we got down in the chat? No BB, no way. Hendrickson, yes. Gotcha, Sam. That's what I assume, dude. Hendrickson is one of those names that auto-correct changes all the time, so I assume that's what you meant. There's no way I give up Brian Branch. Fuck no. Hell no. Goddamn no. He's one of the top 3 players at his position in the NFL. What's up, broski? How you doing, brother? Shit, man. I'm sorry, dude. I might have missed some stuff. I forgot to put it on live chat. Damn it. My bad, dude. I'm sorry if I missed some chats, everyone. Pickett hasn't even practiced in weeks, and it seems like Gabriel recovered from his injury and started in the last preseason game. I agree with you, broski. I was thinking that as we were reading it. I think that we kind of were just this article that we just read was kind of more of a think piece and trying to get some clicks. Because personally, I found that if I put Shedeur Sanders on the thumbnail of any video, it automatically does a lot better, like by at least 100 or so views than any of my other videos. So I think what we're seeing is a little bit of trying to get some traffic to Newsweek here. I don't think Shedeur Sanders will end up being cut by the Cleveland Browns. They probably, in all honesty, will roll with 3 quarterbacks on roster. Joe Flacco and the 2 rookies. Kenny Pickett sucks. Kenny Pickett has never done it at the NFL level. He's not that good. He's not that good, right? Yeah, I jokingly say he's Super Bowl champion. Yeah, he got it sitting behind Jalen Hurts in the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? But I think Kenny Pickett is probably the guy that you should be more worried about losing his job at this point. Why didn't Tupac play in the game versus the Eagles? Because his butt is sore and he's got a ton of sand in his vagina, broski. That's why. Because Tupac Shedeur Sanders has a bunch of sand in his vagina and he's grossly overhyped and overrated. Pickett can lick it. Ah, Brent DeWitt. That's funny, dude. I like that. Oh, man. Trying to get the back loosened up here, fellas. We're on day 4 of 7 in a row. Yeah, today's day 4 of 7 in a row of work, so starting to get a little tight, you know what I'm saying? Oh, boys, if you haven't already, do the things. Press the bell. Sanders' injuries, yeah, he's got a tight oblique, broski. He's a little dinged up, but nothing that should really limit him per se, unless they're just trying to protect their asset, you know what I mean? So, you guys, last week in the preseason game, we did see our guy Ahmed Hassanein get hurt. Right, it was not so great. Didn't even go to the blue tent. Went directly to the locker room. And Detroit was being a little, the information that the Lions were putting out were as clear as mud. You know what I'm saying? So we had to just kind of sit and chum around about it yesterday, trying to figure out what it could be, what it might be. It looked like shoulder, possibly a neck. We now know that it's a pectoral injury. Right, this I can confirm over here at Lions Wire. Ahmed's going to be down for, quote, Ahmed's going to be down for a while. He's got a pec, Dan Campbell stated. The team has not yet made a decision on placing Hassanein on IR. It's to be determined. But just so you know that if he goes on IR in the preseason before the final roster cut, automatically done for the whole year. Automatically, whole season, kiboshed. You know what I'm saying? So, the Lions have a decision to make. Do they elect to keep Ahmed Hassanein on roster through the cuts, immediately put him on IR, free up that roster space, and then bring back one of their cut players? Is that what they do? Or do we just say, dude, maybe the degree of the injury is something that is not a viable option for us to realistically think to bring you back mid-season? Why don't we just shut it down the whole year? Let you, you're a 6th-round pick. Let you get a lot more time in-house, watching the tape, seeing how things develop from the outside. I don't think there's a huge drop-off. Now, I'm a big fan of Ahmed, the Egyptian magician, the Hammer Hassanein, right? But is there that big of a drop-off between the productivity level and talent level of Ahmed Hassanein and a guy like, say, Nate Lynn? You know what I mean? Or, gosh, I hate to be that guy that says it because I'm not on board with it, but everyone's now really beating the war drum. You can hear it. Za'Darius Smith. Za'Darius Smith. Oh, Za'Darius Smith. Za'Darius Smith. Come on, Za'Darius Smith. You can hear him already chanting it right now. I'm not beating that war drum. I'm not that guy. I'm not saying it. But you can hear people saying it already. So, Detroit Lions rookie Ahmed Hassanein offers encouraging injury update. What do we got here, broski? Yesterday you said you were not concerned about the lack of D-line depth, and the more I look at it, I'm wondering why you have no backup DN and only Lopez as your backup DT. No, dude, we got the starting defensive ends, right? Hutch and Marcus Davenport, as long as he can stay healthy. That's a big kind of linchpin to all this. And then behind them, we have, at least in the immediate, we've got Al-Qadim Muhammad, who, for as much as everybody wants to bring back Zadarius Smith, Al-Qadim Muhammad and Josh Paschal were equally as productive as Zadarius Smith was in Zadarius Smith's very limited role. Zadarius Smith was turned down out of a 4 or a 3-down defensive end and basically uses exclusively as a pass rush specialist. I like where Muhammad is at. I still have hopes for Paschal's return come September. And then behind them, so that's your D1, 2, and 3, D4. DN4, you're then going to go with probably a Nate Lynn. You know what I'm saying? Do we then keep 5 defensive ends? That's where the depth questions then starts to come into concern. Defensive tackle, DJ Reader, Tyleek the Freak Williams, Roy Lopez, Keith Cooper Jr., Pat O'Connell. Keith Cooper Jr. allows the flexibility from defensive tackle to defensive end. Then once Aleem McNeil comes back, you have the question of who do you need to keep on roster more. Probably going to see a Pat O'Connor or a Keith Cooper have a reduced role or sent back to the practice squad. At that point, the question then becomes who's been more productive, Keith Cooper, who has a little bit more flexibility to a heavier set defensive end that we like to rotate and use, or the veteran stability of Pat O'Connor. Bad move for the option of surgery. It's not something you can successfully rehab. So is it a torn pec? Is it a torn pec? Financial move by Z. His price just went up. Brad cost himself money if we re-sign him. Yeah, Brent, I don't think Zadarius is the route, dude. I think we have got guys in house, man. I like Nate Lynn, dude. Why are we all not more hype about Nate Lynn? Am I wrong? Al-Qadim Mo was on the Bears a couple years ago. He's nothing. He has nothing to offer. Paschal still injured. Kennedy and O'Connor aren't it at DT. So I'll give you that Kennedy. Do you mean Keith Cooper and Pat O'Connor aren't it at DT? No, well, Connor's not the long-term solution, but we're just trying to bridge that gap until we get Aleem back. Connor plays decent enough in a very limited role. We're going to hang our hat on Tyleek being ready to rock and roll. Paschal, still injured, not necessarily the most productive player. I will give you that Al-Qadim Muhammad was on the Bears a couple years ago, and he wasn't that good. I think he's shown flashes, though, here in Detroit. And again, you guys, we need to be more hype about Nate Lynn. He's had a very good preseason. He had a really good preseason last year, and he's had a really solid camp. I think Nate Lynn could surprise a lot of guys. You know what I'm saying? Think of a bigger, more together upstairs, and more physical James Houston. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Kerry, morning, dude. What's up, Kerry Simtich? How you doing, brother? Good to see you down in the chat, my guy. Lions much weaker in the trenches this season. They'll be tested early in the season. I'll give you that. At least it looks that way. But there's a lot of hype around Marcus Davenport. The coaches really like Davenport, but if the question is, can Davenport stay healthy? There is still some question marks, broski. I'll give you that. There are some question marks, but I'm not really that worried about it. I think that we have some guys that are going to be sneaky players, and like I say during the draft process, during free agency, whatever Brad Holmes decides to do until proven otherwise is the correct decision. You know what I'm saying? Brad Holmes has yet to prove himself to be making the catastrophic bad decisions. You know what I'm saying? Yes, there are some times that we question him. He does show a tendency to be loyal to players who, maybe don't deserve it due to injury history, and it ends up biting us in the ass. Emmanuel Mosley, Levi Onwuzurike. But the majority of the time, he's got his finger on the pulse. Josh Paschal has to be considered a miss at this point. Yeah, at this point, Brent, but there is still a very small amount of time, but there is still time, and he still will be given the opportunity to be better. But, yeah, I agree with you. He's not very good. Paschal is one of those busts. He was hurt when drafted. Yeah, I'll give you that. And he came Paschal was a reach. He came from a smaller school with not a whole lot of pedigree behind him. I mean, he was good, but not, great. Was he worth a second-round pick? There's plenty of other guys we could have taken at that point, but that was, even though we all assumed that Hutch was going to be a home run, that's that thing Brad Holmes does, where he double ups in a draft on a position so that he can increase his chances of that player or that position group being successful. But yeah, it was a for sure reach. The Detroit Lions were dealt a blow to their edge rusher group when rookie Ahmed Hassanein injured a pec preseason week 2 against the Miami Dolphins. Hassanein exited the game early with an injury, and head coach Dan Campbell said on Monday that the Boise State product is going to be down for a while and wouldn't rule out the rookie being out for the season. Hassanein took to social media later that day and vowed to be back while also noting that his injury didn't require surgery. God is good. I am blessed, Hassanein said. I want to thank everybody that asked about me. I'm so grateful and blessed. No surgery is needed, just time to heal. God is good all the time. I may not understand, but I truly trust the Lord's timing and in everything. I will be back, hungrier than ever I have ever been. All glory to Jesus in everything. Preach, brother. It remains unclear exactly what the injury is, but the fact that Hassanein didn't need surgery at least suggests he could return in 2025. Unfortunately, that's just a guess at this point, and to do that would be a little bit more of a gamble. What do you guys think? Should we shut her down? Should we shut down Ahmed for the whole season? Should we just IR him in preseason and just allow him to develop playbook-wise, scheme-wise, not really force the development? Or did you like what you've seen out of him? Is there enough hype around him? Is he the Malcolm Rodriguez of the defensive end group this year? You know what I'm saying? If the Lions end up placing Hassanein on IR before final cuts, he'll be forced to miss the entire season. However, if he lands on IR when the Lions make final cuts on August 27th, next Tuesday, he can return after 4 games. Hassanein has shown flashes this offseason, including in the preseason games, and was expected to play in a reserve role in his first season. With Hassanein sidelines, the Lions take yet another blow to their depth as Josh Paschal remains uncertain to be ready for the start of the season, leaving Detroit short behind Aiden Hutchinson and Marcus Davenport. The more realistic course of action for the Lions to improve their group would be to bring back Za'Darius Smith, boom, 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 boom. Something both sides are interested in, but at this point, that's about the closest thing to a splash we'd expect to see out of Detroit. What do you got down here? Ahmed needs to tone down the craziness. Smooth is fast. Sam, dude, brother, yes. Ahmed needs to focus the chaos. He is a very violent and a high motor guy. We just need to polish those edges. He's a little rough. You know what I mean? If we could focus that ferocity and be a little bit more directed, more of a guided missile instead of just like a fucking just blitzkrieg. You know what I'm saying? We need to acquire target and then execute instead of just going in guns a-blazing. You know what I'm saying? I'm on Carrie Simtich. Yep, Brent, I agree with Carrie up there. I wish Paschal will well because of his illness, but he hasn't produced and he hasn't been available. That's the thing. We don't wish any ill will on these guys when it comes down to injury because it's nothing that they can necessarily control unless your name is Christian Wilkins and you refuse to rehab your foot and want to kiss dudes on the forehead and have smooching booths in the shower rooms. Most of these guys is outside of their control. He's a rookie. Make sure he's taken care of properly. He's an investment, says Broski. Damn, dude, throwing around the word an investment on a 6th-round pick. So you like what you've seen or at least like what you're hearing about Ahmed Hassanein. I am inclined to agree with you. As much of a fan as I am of Ahmed Hassanein, as much as I'm rooting for him to be that underdog story, that like really awesome, first Egyptian player, 6th-round pick, passed over. I give him all the opportunity to succeed. Forcing the mental pressure of, okay, we're not going to put you on IR, we're expecting you to come back, could add to the stress level and retard his development. Shut him down. Shut him down. You have plenty of other options. All right, this is no slight against him, but you have plenty of other options to fill the role that he was going to fill this year, at least on the surface, right? His floor, right? Well, his ceiling could have been potentially Defensive Rookie of the Year, but his floor is a role player. You can find those guys. You already have those guys, Nate Lynn, Al-Qadim Muhammad, possibly Josh Paschal, in-house on roster. Shut him down. Let him learn the system. Let him learn the culture. Let him take it in small steps at a time. There's no need to rush him. There's no need to ruin Ahmed Hassanein if we're really rooting for him to be that successful of a player. So I'm inclined to agree with you, broski. Can't wait to see how we are in the second week. Yeah, it'll be a good game. Zia's on a yacht in Miami somewhere waiting for the Lions to call, says Sam Armstrong. I think Z is going to have to wait on that one, dude. I think we're kind of maybe, if Z Smith still waits till after game 1, the Lions won't have to guarantee as much money. Dollar General Brad's plan, LOL. Dollar General Brad Holmes. I love that, Brent. That's awesome. That is after we shred the cheese. Can't wait for week 1, you guys. We are absolutely going to be cutting the cheese all over Lambeau Field. I can't wait for Hutch to just rip fucking Jordan Love's head right off and just cut the cheese right on the 50-yard line. You know what I'm saying? I look at it as any draft pick as an investment. The drafts used to be 12 or 13 rounds in the under free agent market, and signings are plentiful. So even a 6th or 7th round pick is meaningful. I agree with you, broski. It's to be fair, brother, there's just not a lot of people that are like us that view draft picks as investments, as capital, and see the value that you can have in a 6th round pick. You know, here in Detroit, we should understand that. Look at Malcolm Rodriguez. Ahmed Hassanein. Tell me he's not the Malcolm Rodriguez of the defensive end room. Brad is hard to break. He's great with money. Yeah, he is, dude. He's a smart guy. And he knows ball. Brad Holmes knows ball. So I just did want to highlight over here. We're not going to read this whole thing, but Dan Campbell did quote, Ahmed is going to be down for a while. He's got a pec. So it is a pectoral injury. Currently not requiring surgery. But we'll see about that. We'll see how that's going on, you guys. So this is a conversational piece that we've been having all morning surrounding the defensive end room and really all offseason, all draft process, all free agency. And that is the question mark surrounding the defensive end room with the Detroit Lions, right? We know that the coaching staff is putting on a lot of weight on Marcus Davenport being that guy opposite Aiden Hutchinson. Unfortunately, until proven he can stay healthy, that's not something that I'm necessarily willing to hang my hat and beard on. You know what I'm saying? And we were all pretty hype about Ahmed Hassanein. You know what I'm saying? I did just sit here and lay out how I don't necessarily feel we need to be making a necessary move to bring in somebody to replace him as far as his role position is concerned. I do think that there are plenty of guys in-house that can fulfill that role. Now that I think about it, let us not forget, you know, Derek Barnes actually has a sweet little couple of moves in the pass rush department. Can play a little defensive end, and when we look at the availability of linebackers that we have, it opens up that toolbox that we like to think Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes build in their defense, where they have different players that they can plug and play. And who knows? I'm willing to bet that if you ask a guy like Grant Stewart to play defensive end, I bet you he'll play it at a really fucking high level, too. So, discussion, this is coming to us from prideofdetroit.com. Jeremy Reisman. What should the Lions do at edge after Ahmed Hassanein's injury? Do the Lions need to make a move at defensive end after Ahmed Hassanein, the Hammer, the Egyptian magician's injury? If you haven't already, before we get into this article, guys, please ring my bells and poke my buttons. Share this video around with all your friends. We're so close. At least when I went live, we were 699 subscribers. Just let's finish the show with 700. Let's get over that 700 mark, dude. Let's just go ahead and do it. Subscribe to the channel. Ring that notification bell. And every time we go live, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Dude, YouTube sends you just sends it to your phone. You just got to press it. It's so easy. You don't even have to remember. It'll tell you when we go live. So here we go. Questions are rising at the defensive end position again for the Detroit Lions after rookie Ahmed Hassanein suffered a pectoral injury that will leave him sidelined for, quote, for a while, per Dan Campbell. While Hassanein wasn't lined up for a massive role early in his first year, he was certainly projected to make the team, play on special teams, and ideally earn a rotationary role at some point in 2025. But with him expected to miss significant time, and Josh Paschal's status on the non-football injury list unknown for the start of the season, the Lions have a bit of a hole when it comes to their defensive end depth. While Aiden Hutchinson and Marcus Davenport have the starting jobs locked down, Al-Qadim Muhammad is likely the top reserve. There is not much proven talent beyond those three. Nate Lynn, Isaac Akuwu, and Mitchell Agude have all flashed in their past 2 preseasons. They have collectively played in 6 games and notched a total of 110 defensive snaps. So today's question is, what should the Lions do at defensive end? Jeremy Reisman says, let's break down into 3 options. Nothing, add Big Z, or make a bold trade. Wow, do you guys think we make a trade for somebody? We did see, I believe it was Sam Armstrong reported that Woodward Sports is talking Lions trying to make a move for Trey Hendrickson. I'm not mad about that, at least at this point. At this point, is it pretty much Trey Hendrickson or bust as far as the trade is concerned? Or in my eyes, look, I'm off Za'Darius Smith. If we bring in Za'Darius Smith, great. If we don't bring in Za'Darius Smith, great. It's he's a jag, dude. He's just another guy at this point, right? Now Trey Hendrickson, on the other hand, oh, well, that changes the conversation. At this point, it's Trey Hendrickson or bust for me as far as adding a player to the defensive rotation, because then you free up Marcus Davenport to be your top reserve rotationary guy who can still play at a high level, and you reduce his exposure to injuries. It could be a very beautiful marriage, Trey Hendrickson opposite Aiden Hutchinson. But hang on, let me snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Let's start with my least favorite option. Make a bold trade. With the Bengals considering trading Trey Hendrickson again, conversation is heating up about the Lions potentially making a splash move. Lions GM Brad Holmes has made it pretty clear in the past he's not interested in doing that because they've already got a premier pass rusher they've got to pay soon. But I can certainly understand those that feel like now is the time to go all in. Personally, I don't like that approach because it shortens the team's window and makes 2025 an all-or-nothing season. I think you can get the best chance at a championship by not stacking a roster for a year or two while mortgaging your future. But keeping your roster competitive over a long period of time gets the most bites at the apple. Adding Smith certainly seems like a more reasonable approach than making a pricey trade and presumably extension for Hendrickson, or even, oh Lord, what if we were able to bring in Micah Parsons? I don't want to say it out loud. I don't want to say that too loud because, I don't want to get all happy in pants thinking about Micah Parsons in the Honolulu Blue. Smith would likely sign a one-year deal, given how deep we are into the offseason and the fact that he'll turn 33 next month. A good gauge of his price is the deal Matthew Judon just agreed to with the Dolphins, a contract worth up to $6 million. But can the two sides agree on a deal? It certainly seems like there's an abundance of mutual interests. But with 2 weeks to go until the regular season, it seems like both sides have stalemated. And I don't like that option either. I'm not a big fan of bringing in Big Z. Then there's the idea of just standing pat. Certainly, it's the most unsatisfying of the options, but it also feels like it's possibly the most likely. For one, this team really, really likes Davenport. Obviously, his health is a concern, but when the Lions talk about it, they seem confident they prepared his body for the season and chalk it up to past injuries as bad luck. Additionally, Muhammad has had a strong camp in preseason. While the depth beyond that is thin, they'll eventually get Pascal back, and players like Pat O'Connor and Derek Barnes can provide some relief on the edge as well. See, I told you Derek Barnes, huh? Which do you prefer? Vote in the poll down below and explain your answers. You guys can go ahead and find this link to the article down in the description. Go ahead and click on that if you want to take part in their poll. What do you guys think? How you feeling, chat? Let me know. Let's go, Lions. Mr. Detroit City! What up, brother? How you doing, man? Brad got us out of cap hell, that's for sure. Isn't that the truth? Yeah, Sam, you are correct with that. Watch Davenport tear it up and play all season. If that happens, we win. Yes, not going to say it. Going to knock on wood. But I agree with you, Sam. Look, dude, Marcus Davenport can be a very dominant defensive end, especially opposite Aiden Hutchinson, if he can stay healthy. And that's the big question mark. Does he have a buy-on? Is Marcus Davenport going to be a bum, or is he going to be cyborg? Let's go cyborg Davenport. Yeah, Marcus Davenport. Let's go. Z will be here in a week 2. Will be something. So Carrie, you're on. You think we go the Za'Darius Smith route, do you? Z wasn't exactly focused on football this offseason. He's not young anymore. Broski, you're correct. He was too busy living it up, trying to be Mr. Hollywood. And what's up, Mr. Detroit City? Good morning, guys. So we're going to go ahead and walk on over to our last story of the day. A little bit of a change of pace, but not all that far out of the realm of what we've been discussing. We talked about roster cuts for the Cleveland Brown Eyes, and we talked about depth pieces and possible move-arounds. when it really comes down to it, we've got a lot of guys on roster here in the Motor City, and there's only 53 spots. What are we going to do with that? Who can we see cut? I do think we have a good idea of a majority of guys, but there's still some names that could be surprising depending on the route the Detroit Lions want to go, right? And here over at SI, Vito Chichero 2 hours ago predicting 5 surprise cuts for the Lions based on preseason performance. Here we have 5 surprise Lions who could be on the chopping block. These are some names that I think you guys won't be all that surprised about. Some names that we've talked about and built cases for both keeping and cutting a lot of these guys. But if you guys haven't already, before we dive into it and ring all my bells and poke my button, subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Ring that notification bell so that you can be notified every time we go live. Guys, Monday through Friday. Next week's going to be a fun week. Next week, we're going to open up the floodgates. We're going to start branching into dual streaming over at probably rumble.com. So we will be live on 2 platforms. And let's not forget, next week, probably Wednesday, live here on the Hat and Beard Show, we will hang out while my degenerate ass places our season-long bets. That's right. Don't forget, we got our season-long bets that we're going to be placing. We're going to be parlaying Aiden Hutchinson to be both Defensive Player of the Year and Comeback Player of the Year. We're then going to put some money down on Jahmyr Gibbs to be Offensive Player of the Year. And then last but not least, we're going to put a little bit of cash down on our boy JG16 for MVP. Let's go. But that's next week, guys. So make sure you got all the bells and buttons rang and poked and all the stuff so you can hang out while we do that. Let's talk about this. Roster cutdown day always delivers a few surprises, and the Detroit Lions are no exception. Coming off a 15-win season and an NFC North title, the Lions find themselves with increased depth across several positions and groups, which could leave some recognizable names on the outside looking in. Here are 5 players who could be a surprise cut before the start of the regular season. Number 1. Oh, this is hard to read. We're a fan of our boy, Fireball Tim Patrick. Tim Patrick was re-signed this offseason to provide size and experience to Detroit's receiving core, but training camp hasn't gone his way. He's struggled to find rhythm, while rookies Isaac Tesla, Jackson Meeks have impressed with their energy and playmaking so far. With Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams locked in the top spot of the depth chart, Patrick may be battling for one of those final wideout spots. If the younger receivers continue to rise, Patrick, well, he could be the odd man out. That is not a far-fetched thought. It's you're looking. Do we do the youth movement? Obviously, we're going to want to go ahead and keep our guy Khalif, the punt returning freak Raymond. Does that mean Fireball Tim Patrick? A little bit bigger of a guy, more contested catches, but we have seen Isaac Tesla, he's not a small chicken himself. He's 6'4", and he goes up, he makes some contested catches. We like what we're seeing out of Isaac Tesla. I would actually pencil Isaac Tesla in as your number 3 wide receiver right now ahead of Fireball Tim Patrick. I like what the kid sees. I'm also slowly starting to fall in love with Jackson Meeks. That kid could be special in this league, man. That kid could be very special. Unfortunately, Dominic Lovett, a little bit of a slide back due to injuries. Well, welcome to the practice squad, Dominic Lovett. Could Fireball Tim Patrick be the odd man sitting out in the cold? Number 2, this is not a surprise. Something we've been calling for a while. QB Hendon Hooker. Lions drafted Hooker in 2023 with the hope he could develop into a capable backup, but his preseason performance has been underwhelming, to say the least. Kyle Allen, the 8-ball, has outperformed him throughout the preseason, showing sharper command of the offense. While Detroit likely hoped Hooker would earn the number 2 role behind JG16 for MVP Jared Goff, his inconsistency raises questions. It would be a surprise, but not out of the realm of possibility if Hooker were to be moved on from sooner than expected. Would it be a surprise, though? I don't think it'd be a surprise, but this one right here, number 3, Craig Reynolds, that would be a bit of a surprise to 99% of the Lions fan base. But we have to set our love of a player and the story they are aside. We need to realize that Craig Reynolds is not the 3rd best running back on the team. Craig Reynolds isn't even the 4th best running back on the team. Craig Reynolds should lose his job to Sione Vaki and Jalen Sailors. That's the only option for me. Reynolds has been a reliable depth piece in recent years, but the competition in the backfield has stiffened. second-year pro Sione Vaki and former UFL star Jacob Sailors, I keep calling him Jalen, Jacob Sailors, have each made a case to earn the number 3 running back spot behind Monty and Gibbs. Reynolds' experience with the Lions could work in his favor. However, Detroit may also opt for a younger, fresher option at the position, such as Vaki or Sailors. Both guys are better than Craig Reynolds is at this point. But what you're going to end up seeing, Craig Reynolds will be that guy. Brad, I don't think Brad's going to be willing to move on from him. I think Brad is going to stick with his guy. And we'll end up seeing Vaki make the roster. We're going to keep 4 running backs because of the next position that we're going to talk about. We're going to probably end up keeping 4 running backs. And Sailors is going to be the odd guy out, unfortunately. And he will be picked up by another team because he showed enough in preseason with the Detroit Lions, not getting a full training camp either, to justify his spot with another franchise release an option. This is a little, this one right here, this is the one that kind of surprised me a little bit, right? But if you think about it, it does make sense. Tight end Shane Zylstra. Zylstra has been a steady reserve tight end, but the emergence of Zach Horton changes the equation. Horton's ability to not only contribute as a receiver, but also line up at fullback gives him added versatility, and that's something Shane Zylstra is not good at. He cannot play fullback, and he's not a very good blocking tight end. With Sam Laporta and Brock Wright firmly entrenched the top 2 tight ends, Zylstra's role is in jeopardy. Now, you would think his familiarity with the system may not be enough to secure his locker spot this time around, but you would think that the minute Kenny Yarborough went down, Shane Zylstra had it in the bag, right? Shane Zylstra had it in the bag. Zach Horton's going to transition to fullback. But wait a minute. What if Zach Horton didn't roster change to fullback? What if Zach Horton played fullback but was also listed as a 3rd tight end, knowing that we have the friendly neighborhood Dan Skipper to come in and play that jumbo tight end spot, knowing that then that opens up more flexibility for another depth piece along the offensive line. Maybe Giovanni Manu makes the roster. Maybe Jamarco Jones makes the roster. It gives us more flexibility along the offensive line if we elect to roll with Zach Horton as the 3rd tight end / fullback and then flexibly rotate out your friendly neighborhood Dan Skipper. Not the biggest fan of Shane Zylstra, not the biggest hater of Shane Zylstra, though the more I think about it, the more I like the flexibility of rotating your friendly neighborhood Dan Skipper, keeping Zach Horton, and letting Shane Zylstra walk because it gives us more depth and flexibility along our young offensive line, right? Defensive back Khalil Dorsey suffered a broken leg late last season, and unfortunately just missed all of camp. And when the talent level is this high at the defensive back room now, your job is going to be questioned even though you're hurt, and it's just an unfortunate situation. Dorsey's return from a broken leg is encouraging, but the timing could also work against him. Detroit has upgraded its secondary with the additions of DJ Reed, Rock Ya-Sin, who's been a nice little piece, and Avonte Maddox, also a quiet, nice addition, to name a few, making competition fierce for backup roles. Dorsey's special teams ability is certainly valuable, particularly his ability as a gunner. However, it doesn't mean the veteran has an absolute stranglehold. Got you in a stranglehold, baby, on a roster spot as the regular season nears. I don't think Dorsey makes it, man. I don't think Dorsey makes it. So what do you guys think, chat? How do you feel about these surprise cuts over here? How are we feeling? Well, Cashel, I'm sure it'll be more focused. Carrie, you're talking about Big Z. Hell yeah. Brad have 1 or more 2 moves up his sleeve. That's true, Carrie. Yep, Brad. None of us ever really know what Brad Holmes is thinking. Brad Holmes, he keeps his cards close to the chest. You know what I'm saying? He keeps his cards relatively close to the chest so that only he knows the moves he's going to make. Tesla starting as the number 3 wide receiver. He's a stud, but Dan did say he's going to help on teams, special teams also. So does that mean he's behind Patrick? I don't know, man. I think that means that what you'll see then, Sam Armstrong, very good question. I think you're going to end up seeing that wide receiver 3 spot be a wide receiver A, B, and C, right? And you'll see a nice rotation depending on the situation and the personnel packages between. I would start Tesla, right? But it would be a 1A, or I guess at that point, a 3A, B, and C with Patrick and Khalif Raymond rotating in through that, splitting, almost equal amount of snaps until Tesla really starts to blow up and really starts to show that you can't really jeopardize the availability of what should turn out to be one of the better players on your offensive side of the ball as time progresses, and then you're going to reduce his role on special teams and then fully just kind of unleash him at the number 3 spot. At least that's my opinion. Mr. Trey said, I'll pass on Horton and Shane. No shit. Yeah, I'll pass on Shane Zylstra, but I'll keep Zach Horton. I'm a fullback guy. I like my backfield to be nice and full. I like having a fullback, dude. You know what I'm saying? San Francisco Tesla starting at the number 3. Oh, I already read that. Sorry, guys. Sorry about that. So how'd the poll end up finishing today? We got 12 votes. Look at you guys go. We got 15 people in the chat. Just go ahead and smash the like while you guys are down there. If Shedeur Sanders is cut by Cleveland, do the Lions make a move for him? 42% of the vote says it can't hurt. He's better than Hendon. I agree with that statement. I don't agree with the move. 25% of you say no. We've got the 8-ball, Kyle Allen. Let's go. 25% of you say bring forth AOC's tatas. I'm on board with that. And then 8% of you, all of the above, are awful. I love that take. I love it. Thank you to each and every one of you for engaging in the poll today. Corey Schlesinger is my favorite Detroit fullback. Corey Schlesinger is my favorite fullback all time, followed very closely by Mike Allstott. I loved Corey Schlesinger, dude. I grew up watching Corey Schlesinger. That's why I'm so, like, a big fan of a fullback, having a hammer back there. Maybe we spend the offseason transitioning Ahmed Hassanein to fullback. All right, new plan. Ahmed Hassanein goes on IR for the whole season, and he spends the entire offseason slimming down, working on his footwork. We're not going to expect him to carry the rock, but Ahmed Hassanein needs a transition to fullback. Then he can really be the hammer. Are you with me? Knock on wood if you're with me, men. Knock on wood if you're with me. Let's go. Oh, yeah, I'm on board with that. All right, fellas. It's been there were some good ones. Yeah, there were Lorenzo Neal. Oh, dude. I forgot about Lorenzo Neal, Mr. Detroit City. Woo! Lorenzo Neal was a fucking wrecking ball of a human being, dude. He was a hard-hitting son of a bitch, dude. I won't accept any new ones until they rock a horse collar, dude. Ha! Hell yeah, dude. Mr. Detroit City, that's what I'm saying. We need to bring back the old school fullback. Rubber elbow pads, a big old cowboy collar, full cage face mask. Let's go. Taped up ankles, taped up wrists. Your job is to be a human wrecking ball. I don't need you to carry the rock. I need you to go out there and crack skulls, dude. Manu at fullback. Carry, hell yeah, bro. Oh, dude. Could you imagine how much poop the opposing linebackers would have in their britches if Manu lined up at fullback? Oh, my God, dude. Oh, my God. Tom Rathman. Fuck yes, dude. You guys, we're getting all nostalgic for hella football players, and then we're dreaming crazy thinking about Manu playing fullback. But I'm so on board with it, Kerry. I'm so on board with Manu being fullback. I'm 100% on board with it. Let's fucking go, dude. Hell yeah. Manu for fullback, 2026. Let's go. All right, guys. Woo, today we talked about Joe Flacco winning the quarterback one job in Cleveland, and that is no surprise. There should be no soy faces. There should be no blinking brown eyes. You all should be very like, duh, fucking duh. It's about a blind person could have seen that was going to be the case. We then kind of read a little bit of clickbait action here from Newsweek. NFL Insider hits up Browns parting ways with Shedeur Sanders. Probably not the option. I would imagine it's going to be Kenny Pickett going to be the guy, the odd man out of an overloaded Cleveland Browns dumpster fire quarterback room headed up by 40-year-old Joe Flacco. Then we talked about our boy here, Ahmed, the Egyptian magician, the hammer, Hassanein. And what his encouraging news was about his injury update. Obviously, it was a pectoral situation. Sorry about that. Does not require surgery, though. We had a nice conversation with you guys, and it's a good thing for those of you. Comment down below if you're watching this afterwards. Do the Lions shut him down for the whole season and then allow him to develop behind the scenes and become the NFL's greatest fullback come the start of 2026? Let's go. Talked about, just confirmed from a quote by Dan Campbell that it is, in fact, a pectoral. that came to us from Lions Wire. There, that was just I had that up there just as a source so that we can confirm. Didn't read the article there. What do the Lions do at edge after Ahmed Hassanein's injury? Jeremy Reisman walked us through a nice thought exercise of 3 possible options. Do we make a blockbuster trade, bring in a Trey Hendrickson, or God forbid even a Micah Parsons, and have 2 superstar defensive ends and totally break the books and financially cripple the Detroit Lions? Do we bring in, who a lot of you are beating the war drum over, big Zadarius Smith, Mr. He's, you'd say he's a flash in the pan, but for that to happen, the pan has to be there has to be heat under the pan. So you're just throwing butter on a cold pan. There's not really much flash in that pan. Or do you just keep my favorite option? Keep our guys that we have in house. Nate Lynn, give him his opportunity. Give Nate, unleash the Lynn. Let's go, Ahmed the Kraken. Lynn, let's go. And then finally, we poked around at 5 surprise cuts for the Lions based on preseason performance. Few of them are surprises. One of them, Hendon Hooker, not really a surprise. What's up, Beantown, brother? How you doing, man? Good to see you. Motown Mitch, what up, doe? Lions rule, Bears drool, Packers are lactose intolerant. Vikings are actually queens. Motown Mitch. Bravo. That was. Can we give a little bit of love in the chat for that one? Yo, that was good, Motown. That nicely done, brother. Hell yeah, the Vikings are actually queens, brother. That was funny. That was, yeah, dude. That was good, man. That was good. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for today. I appreciate all you guys tuning in. It was a fun show. We'll be back tomorrow, obviously, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. here at the Hat and Beard Show, youtube.com. Make sure you got that notification bell ring. It'll just do the heavy lifting for you and send a notification bell directly to your mobile device, where over 77% of you tend to watch this content. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Go ahead and hit that like button on your way out the door. And then the number one thing you can do to help us grow, look, when I went live this morning, we had 699 subscribers. We're hoping to get up to 700 here by the start of next week. That would be the cat's pajamas. So what you can do for me, share this video around. Just click the share button, copy down on your clipboard. You don't have to actually tell anybody you're a fan of the Hat and Beard Show. I get it. I don't want to be affiliated with myself either. You don't have to tell your Nana that you're a fan of the Hat and Beard Show, right? It's totally fine. I understand it. It's totally acceptable. We'll let it slide. We'll fool the algorithm. Just copy this down your clipboard. But if you're not going to share it around with your friends, if you're just going to copy it on your clipboard, I need you to do it like 5 times for me. Yeah? You think you can do that for me? You mind? You mind doing that, bud? Appreciate it. Guys, thanks for engaging in the chat. It was wild. It was fun. We had a great show. The Vikings do be looking stupid. Hell yeah, Beantown. The Vikings look dumb as shit, bro. The Vikings are a fucking joke, yo. I'd hate to be a Vikings fan, dude. Sucks to be you guys, the Minnesota Queens. So, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling a friend. Appreciate that about you. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Until then, I've been Hat and Beard. You've been an attentive audience. Bonga bonga. Frig off.